Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes, that Marjorie Taylor Greene, she of super ultra MAGA fame slash infamy, gave one of, I think, the most remarkable interviews I've ever seen a politician give over the weekend. And I want to talk about it, Greene, and sort of the future of the MAGA movement. So let's first talk about the interview, and then I'll go into her history just in case you don't know it. So Greene sat down with Dana Bash of CNN, my former colleague, and that in and of itself, I think, is worth taking note of. Marjorie Taylor Greene of a year ago, or even 3 months ago, wouldn't go anywhere near a CNN studio. This is at least her second big interview with CNN in the last few weeks. And this one I thought was really remarkable. I went through the whole transcript and I pulled out just a few lines from Greene that I want to read to you. Okay. So the interview was like 20 or 30 minutes, but I just wanted a few. Here's one quote. I have something in my heart that I think is incredibly important for our country, and that is to end the toxic fighting in politics. Okay. That's Marjorie Taylor Greene. Yes. Let's see. She's talking about Trump here. I have disagreed with him at times, and I'm allowed to do that. I think that's the most important thing we can do as Americans. Here's another one. I would like to say humbly, I'm sorry for taking part in the toxic politics. It's very bad for our country. One more. I am committed, and I have been working on this a lot lately, to put down the knives in politics. I really just want to see people be kind to one another. And we need to figure out a new path forward that is focused on the American people because as Americans, no matter what side of the aisle we're on, we have far more in common than we have differences. Yes, that is Marjorie Taylor Greene in November 2025. It's incredible stuff. And I want to talk about more because in order to understand why it's so incredible, you have to understand where she's come from. And I'm going to do that in 1 minute, right after I tell you this, which is subscribe to my channel, man. I got 2 words for you: independent and authentic. Independent, that's me, from big corporate media, and independent from the 2 political parties. Authentic, also me. I'm always going to tell you what I think's going on. I'm never going to pull punches. I'm never going to do fan service. I am not in the business of telling you what you want to hear, so you subscribe. You're not always going to agree with me. That's a good thing. All right. So Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though it seems like she's been around longer, she got elected in 2020 to a new Georgia seat. This is a very Republican seat, and she quickly made a name for herself by being incredibly vocal in support of Donald Trump. She was sort of one of his biggest admirers, biggest advocates, biggest surrogates. Trump loved her. He talked about her all the time. During the run up to her running for Congress and then her being in Congress, aside from being very pro-Trump and very pro-MAGA, the other thing she was really, really magnetic to controversy. Let me just talk about some of the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has supported or expressed some support for in the past. Support for executing prominent Democratic politicians, including Nancy Pelosi. She has questioned whether 9/11 actually was an attack or an inside job. She's since recanted on that, but she had done that. She has repeatedly called Barack Obama a Muslim. He is a Christian. She suggested, this is probably her most famous / infamous thing, she suggested that a wildfire in California was caused by a laser that was owned by a Jewish firm, Jewish Space Lasers. Yes, you heard that right. Okay, so this is someone who, again, she was removed from all of her committee assignments when Democrats held the House because of accusations she had made a series of anti-Semitic comments. She has largely been sort of the face of MAGA in the House and really in Congress, which is what makes what's been happening over the last 6 weeks, 2 months, maybe, all the more remarkable. So over that time, and it's hard to pick a specific thing to say this is when it started, but let me just go through some of the things that Marjorie Taylor Greene has broken with Donald Trump and Republicans on. She opposed the Trump's decision to use the U.S. military to strike Iranian nuclear sites. She is opposed to Donald Trump's ongoing support for the H-1B visa program. She opposed the ongoing government shutdown when it was still happening because she said her party was failing to address rising healthcare costs. And then most importantly, she has been a leading voice on the need for the Department of Justice to release all of the files related to the Jeffrey Epstein investigation. So Marjorie Taylor Greene is one of 4 Republicans, Tom Massey, Nancy Mace, Lauren Boebert are the other 3, who signed onto a discharge petition with 214 Democrats to force a vote that is coming this week, to force a vote against the wishes of Donald Trump, against the wishes of Speaker Mike Johnson, on the release of the Epstein files, basically to compel the Department of Justice to release the Epstein files. Now, Trump has since, in the last 48 hours, Trump has turned 180 degrees on this and said, actually, I want all Republicans to vote for the release of these files. But remember, Donald Trump, as recently as last week, was calling people like Nancy Mace and Lauren Boebert and trying to get them to take their names off the discharge petition and saying, there's nothing here, it doesn't need to be released. Okay, so this is a big turnabout. Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene has been banging that drum on the release of the Epstein files for several months now. And when Dana Bash at CNN asked her what was the reason for her falling out with Donald Trump, Marjorie Taylor Greene said she thought it had everything to do with Epstein, and she didn't understand why Donald Trump was so opposed until the last 24 hours to releasing all the Epstein files. A few things. The first most obvious one is Marjorie Taylor Greene's conversion here real, right? Is she really wanting to get out of toxic politics? Is she really apologizing for what she said and done in the past or not? I can't look into her heart. I can't look into her head, right? I will note that in the CNN interview, she said that the assassination of Charlie Kirk had a profound impact on her. I'm going to take her at her word there. I mean, I know the more cynical among us, and look, I'm pretty cynical, will say this is all just political positioning. She doesn't really believe any of this. She's just trying to get attention. Maybe. I mean, again, I don't know her heart. I can't tell you that that's not true. So I don't know if this is a real conversion. I don't know if acts will follow words, right? Will deeds follow words or not? Don't know. Don't know how long it will last. I will say, and this does not preclude the possibility that this is a real conversion, that Marjorie Taylor Greene really feels like she has been called to try to stop with the toxic politics. That doesn't preclude that she had a real conversion, but it could be political positioning too. It's a both and I'll tell you why. So I've been thinking a lot about this lately, and really what you're going to have in 2028 is a debate over the future of the MAGA movement. And to date, it has looked like this unified whole, but that's only because of Donald Trump. If you dig even a little bit into it, you see that there are at least 2 major competing, what I call nodes in the MAGA base. Node 1 is where Greene is. It's where Steve Bannon is. It's where Tom Massey, who started the discharge petition, is, which is we need to put America first. This is what Donald Trump initially ran on. We do not need to get involved in international conflicts, whether it's Ukraine or Iran or anywhere else. We need to focus on the United States. We need to secure our borders, yes, but also focus on healthcare and housing costs. We need to focus on America first, quite literally. Then the other major node in the MAGA movement is sort of a techno bros node, and that's JD Vance, the vice president, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, that group. And that group is much more internationalist. I think it's less, I don't think it's super policy driven. I think they see a chance for US to lead on crypto and all these other AI and all these sorts of things, and they want to push in that direction. These 2 nodes do not see the world the same way. They just don't. Trump has been able to unite them under his umbrella, largely by force of his personality and because people are afraid of stepping out of line, but they don't agree. So I think what Marjorie Taylor Greene is doing is trying to say, MAGA is not just Donald Trump. MAGA represents a set of values that I, Marjorie Taylor Greene, represent that Donald Trump doesn't even really represent anymore, and that I will continue to push for these things because I believe in them. She's not saying she hates Donald Trump, even though Donald Trump has disavowed her and attacked her and called her a traitor. She's saying, I love Donald Trump, and it's because I love him that I am doing these things, sticking back to first principles. If you wanted to have that debate in 2028, it's not a bad idea to make yourself the face of that America First node within the Republican Party in advance of Trump not being on the ballot again, particularly with J.D. Vance already occupying the edgelord techno bro end of MAGA. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene is being that person. So again, this doesn't say that her conversion isn't real. I don't even know if it'll last, but let's say it lasts, that her conversion isn't real and based on her own life and her own lived experience, the assassination of Charlie Kirk being a big part. But I will also say it does have political implications that are very interesting for the future of the Make America Great Again movement. The interview with Dana Bash on CNN is one of the most amazing interviews I've ever seen. A politician apologizing publicly for the way that they've behaved in the past, the way that they've made things worse, not better. I think it's a really powerful message. Do I think Marjorie Taylor Greene is the messenger who could carry that message in a general election? Probably not. I think there's probably too much water under the bridge there in terms of things she said in the past, people she's pissed off in the past, for anyone who's not a hardcore Republican to vote for her. But it's remarkable. It's why I cover politics, because the unpredictable happens. And I think it is very worth taking a look at her interviews of late, taking a look at what she's saying. She may well be, aside from Donald Trump, the single most interesting person in the Republican Party at the moment. Okay, that's it for me. As I said before, I hope you subscribe. Independent, authentic. Also, two other things you can do for me. One, like and comment on this video. I mean, if you don't have thoughts about Marjorie Taylor Greene and her conversion, whether it's real or not, I don't know when you'll have thoughts. Comment. That helps build us a community here on YouTube, but also helps with the algorithm to get my stuff out to people who aren't already subscribers. Last thing you can do for me, be an evangelist for me. Go out and tell people why you think what I'm doing matters and why you think they need it in their lives. Okay, everyone, take care.